Shalom, brothers and sisters, giving honor and praise unto the Most High, the Creator, the Maker of heaven and earth. My name is Yeshaya Yisrael of the tribe of Dan of the nation of Israel. This particular presentation, brothers and sisters, we do not intend for it to be long. Nonetheless, brothers and sisters, we do intend to bring this out to the family, if we will. So, brothers and sisters, if I can be heard, and if you are in good spirits, please type in the number 4. If I can be heard, and if you are in good spirits, please type in the number 4. Now, earlier we were going to do a history lesson, but I decided not to. Save that PowerPoint and make it stronger, and I'm going to throw a hint in there. I want to add more information about Carthage. Hint. All right, let's leave it at. Was Hannibal a Hamite, or was he from the tribe of Asher? Uh-oh. Let's see what's going to happen next week in that presentation. Stay tuned. But brothers and sisters, we call this one here Love in the Old Testament. And as is usually my custom to just turn the camera off, I'm not going to at first now. Right? And thank you, my love Sarai, for typing the number 4. Shalom, my brother Yirmiyahu Yisrael. All right? And we're going to read certain things in the Old Testament about love. I'm going to ask any one of the moderators not to type in the entire scripture, but to at least type in the part of what I'm going to be reading. Or I'll do it, better yet, because then I know exactly what I want to read. And I don't want it to change and then this and that. Genesis chapter 29, verse 20. All right? So we could begin to see the matter of love in this case. And here, brothers and sisters, is what we read. Genesis chapter 29, verse 20, and it reads on this wise. And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed unto him but a few days for the love he had to her. The love that he had for Rachel, serving 7 years for her, was but for a few days. When a man loves a woman, watch out now. Because what we're talking about in that particular case is something that's going to make him do things that he normally would not do. Now, speaking as a man, brothers and sisters, you know as a man, when you got love and respect for a lady who has love and respect for you, when you do not miss the things that you do for her. You can have $1 million, and if you ain't got no love for her, and you buy her a $20 sweater, you're going to miss that $20, even with your million. But if you got $30 and you spend $20, but the love is in it, you ain't going to never miss that. You understand? That's what that is with that. Jacob did not lose 7 years of his life. He gained a wife. The so-called black women of today, like the book of Isaiah says, the unmarried, the widowed. So, brothers and sisters, we have to sit there and change that kind of dynamic. Let's go, brothers and sisters, to Exodus 21. See, this is why I'd rather type it in, because I don't even have that in my notes. But if I just had the moderators do it, it would have been a little different. Exodus chapter 21. And we're going to read the first couple of verses. It says this. Now these are the judgments which you shall set before them. If you buy a Hebrew servant, 6 years shall he serve, and in the 7th year he shall go out free for nothing. Now, this Hebrew servant in Exodus chapter 21 is not an Israelite. We'll explain that in another time. If he come in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If you were married, then his wife shall go out with him. If his master give him a wife, and she bear him sons and daughters, the wife and her children shall be her masters, and he shall go out by himself. And if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free. What is he saying? Ahabti et Adoni, et isti wa et banai, lo ete kafshi. I'm not going to go out free. Love is making the servant stay with his lady. In Exodus. Do we understand that? Love doesn't make you just want to pack up and bounce. Oh, I'm done just to get everything and don't. No, that's not love. That is temporary comfort. And well, the comfort is over now. Damage is done, so I guess I'll be leaving kind of spirit. That's not what the Torah is endorsing. You understand? You go through the thick and thin. You go through the hard times. You don't sit there and just leave because something didn't seem the most happiest at that particular moment. My diet has changed. The lady that I'm with, Sarai, has helped me change in a course of my diet. Do you know that these nations, whether they use our people in part or not, but do you know that these nations make war against us through the diet? Don't think so? Read the Maccabees. Okay, elder, we'll give you clean meat, but the people going to think it's pork, so that way they can sit there and be comfortable eating it. That happened in the Maccabees to give the impression that the elder was eating unclean. So if the elders are doing it, then the people are going to do it. So they do make war against us. Do you know that Hebrew said that pork is named gas ruach? What does ruach mean? Anybody? Spirit. Ruach means spirit. And gas means what? I'll type it in. The word gas means nasty. Okay, nasty or unclean. Yes, in that department. Nasty, unsavory, distasteful, unclean. The literal word for unclean is tameh. And that's what swine is called. Do you believe that your spirit or your ruach can change through your diet? Don't think so? Why do you think every time you go to the hospital, they check your pressure? Your pressure in part is regulated due to diet. When you go to the gym and you get a trainer, the trainer asks you, what's your diet like? What do you normally eat throughout the course of the day? What do you eat at night? Brothers and sisters. So we do not want the gas ruach. Cain, my love, they do ask what you eat. Let's go on, if we will, to Isaiah chapter 41, verse 8. All right? Isaiah 41, verse 8. And again, we want to end the Shabbat out with the subject of love in the Old Testament. There's going to be some Hebrew in it, but that's for later on. All right? Isaiah 41, verse 8 reads as follows. But thou, Israel, art my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend. Do you know the Hebrew where it says my friend, says Ohabi? Now, Ohabi, does that sound like the word Ahab? in some way, shape, form, or fashion? And we know Ahab means what? Ahab, Ahaba. Yes. Ohabi, my love. Why do you think brothers greet each other more so now than saying, excuse me, my N-word, they're saying beloved. How you doing, beloved? Peace, King. These things recently have become part of our regular convo. Brothers was actually respecting sisters in a way by saying, peace, Ma, can I talk to you for a second? Because even if that's not his mother, which is not, she still is, like my teacher said, the mother of an everlasting nation. You understand? So these are things we want to point out for reference purposes. Shalom, my brother, Saud Yehu bin Lewi. How you doing, Aki? All right. Now, we're going to go now to Jeremiah, right? Chapter 31. 31 verse 3. All right. And thank you to the moderators, my lady Sarai and my brother Yirmiyahu Yisrael. Jeremiah chapter 31 verse 3. We want to end out the Shabbat here. We understand it may not be ending for everybody in the United States at the same time. But here on the East Coast, we want to conclude the Shabbat by talking about our love as we go into another week. Jeremiah chapter 31 verse 3 says this. Yah hath appeared of old unto me, saying, yea, I have loved thee with an everlasting love. Therefore, with loving kindness have I joined thee. With loving kindness have I joined you. You draw people to you through your love, brothers and sisters. You can't sit there and be of hatred and draw that kind of loving spirit. You can't be of a discordant kind of spirit, an angry kind of spirit. Solomon said, make no friendship with an angry man. And with a man of contention, go thou not. I'm paraphrasing. Want to know why you don't go with people of contention? Let me give you a story of what happened one time. Guy doing security, right? And somebody wanted to have a problem with that security guard. So security being there has to stay there till the shift is over. The person goes who wanted the problem with the security person back to, quote, for all lack of a better term, the hood. Comes back to the building to where that security he wanted to have problem with. But did you know that the security, small world, and the person he brought were first cousins? Real talk. So here you go, bringing your mans in them to somebody's job, and that person's job, and when they see each other, it's like, oh, peace, cuz, how you? They were blood first cousins. The person who wanted the problem was looking like, huh? See, that's why you don't go with a man of contention. Don't have that spirit. So let's continue in this. Remember, with everlasting love have I joined thee. That's in Jeremiah. We're going to let the book speak on love. Proverbs, all right? 10, 12. We're going to type it in there so that way the people can see it and read it on their own when this is either right now or when it's uploaded. Proverbs chapter 10, verse 12 says this. Hatred stirreth up strife, but love covereth all sins. Hatred stirreth up strife, but love covereth all sins. The Most High said, though your sins be like crimson, they shall be white as snow. Let us reason together, says the Most High. Sorry. So in reasoning together, be it on a great level between Israel and the Most High, or a man and a woman, or woman and a man. I remember times in which my mother having a belt in her hand, and I am stark naked. And she said, I want to talk and reason on why you did that. She spanked me and then talked about reasoning together. That's love right there. Not, I'm going to just get at you and I'm going to such and such word you up, like as if you're dealing with someone in the street. That's not even how you should even come at children who might sin. You come in love in that case. Love is mentioned, correct me if I'm wrong, over 50 or so times in the scriptures. Ain't nothing wrong with mentioning it. We're going to go, brothers and sisters, with the time allotted. 2 Chronicles chapter 9, verse 8. Now, this is about King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. Let's see what she says. This is a woman speaking in this case. 2 Chronicles chapter 9, verse 8. And let's see what she says here, brothers and sisters. Blessed be the Lord thy God, which delighted in thee, to set thee on his throne, to be king for the Lord thy God, because thy God loved Israel, to establish them forever. Therefore made he thee king over them, to do judgment and justice. That's the Queen of Sheba reading what we just read from in here. For the Lord thy God loved Israel. We already know what it says in Malachi. We've been saying it for decades. Yaakov Bahapti, wa Esau Saneti. Meaning what? Yaakov Bahapti, wa Esau Saneti. Jacob have I loved and Esau have I hated. We've been saying that for a very long time in Israel. So, brothers and sisters, nothing wrong with Ahaba. Nothing wrong with love, brothers and sisters. And before we pull the PowerPoint up, we want to go over this one live in this case. Amos 5:15 with the time allotted. Thank you for that. And let's see what this says in this case. Amos chapter 5, verse 15. And what does it say concerning love in this particular manner? Hate the evil and love the good. Hate the evil and love the good. So there's absolutely, positively nothing wrong with ahaba or love. Don't let the people who don't have ahaba or love in their label, their mind, and their heart make you think there's something punkish as a man to love, or there's something weak of you as a woman to love. Don't let, no disrespect intended, Beyonce tell y'all sisters, all the single ladies, after coming with the song, ladies, leave your man at home, go to the club because their pockets are full blown. Because she going back to her man while she's telling you all the single ladies. She looking at the behavior. Don't listen, brothers, to the man that can't read right. Like when my lady, the beautiful sister in my life, Moreh Yeshaya on his channel, but you thought women shouldn't teach. But so you thought and misunderstood what you was reading because you had hatred in your heart already. That hatred in your heart caused you to misread something with your eyes. Seeing people who are in committed relationships, I'm not saying don't take advice from single people. I would suggest don't take advice from the miserable people, whether they're single or not. You know what you should never do when people respect you in a certain position? You never tell a man or a woman to leave the other. will leave him or leave her. You know why you never saw people that? Because if that couple mixed back together, where are you going to be at in their eyes? Listen to both parties. I'm not Muslim, but one of the things that the Nation of Islam does, when somebody talks about somebody, hold on, brother. Hey, brother, come here. Hey, brother, come here. And we all sit down and talk so you can iron this out. We're going to read another portion before the PowerPoint. Leviticus, chapter 19, if we will. So we can let the book speak on it. And what does it say? Oh, we already read Amos 5:15. All right. So we're going to read Leviticus 19:15 through 18. Let the book speak for itself. All right. This one I want to show in the thing. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 15. Right? And it says this: you shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty. But in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor. Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thy people. Neither shalt thou stand against or idly by the blood of thy neighbor. I am the Lord thy God. Now, it doesn't say that this or that, but I want to point out when it says against the blood of your neighbor, means idly against the blood of your neighbor. You're supposed to help your people when you can. Verse 17, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Let's read that again. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Lotis na et akika bil baberka. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. Thou shalt not avenge, nor bear any grudge against the children of your people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Ani yod hey wow hey. Not KJV or Masoretic text. Who said that? Yah. The same Holy One of Israel that we pray to daily, monthly, yearly, annually, which is yearly. You shall not hate thy brother in thy heart. The next part says, you shall love as yourself. I am Yah. The Most High is commanding you. That is not an option. That's just like Shabbat and not working, or working the other 6 days. That's not an option. It's not like vegetarians or carnivores. Thou mayest eat meat if thou chooses to. Except for on the holy days when you're commanded to. That's a little different. But if you wanted to be a vegetarian throughout the course of the majority of the Israelite, yeah, you don't have to. Certain times you have to. But I'm going to leave that up there, brothers and sisters, because we need that. It ain't him, her, they over there. We need that. If a brother offended you or a sister offended you, let it go. Like Joseph did. They whooped Joseph behind and threw him in the pit and sold him. Who knows what they did with that coin? Brought a lie to their father. It was an animal. And Joseph said, do not feel away. I'm paraphrasing on you selling me here because it was meant for such. What scripture did I just read from? I read from Leviticus 19:15, verse 18. That's the scripture I just read from. Thank you for that question, my brother. We have to have perhaps the spirit of Joseph. Hate the evil, love the good. Potiphar's wife, that sounds like a personal problem. I'm not laying with you. I'm going to run away. My brothers who did me wrong, I ain't going to hold it against you. because we got to stop the generational curses in our relationships. Most of us, no pun intended, was born out of wedlock. Don't you think we should stop that by now? Don't you think, like my little princess being 17, not to get too personal, glad at this day that she still is a virgin? Not many 17-year-old girls are virgins. But don't you think having children out of wedlock, like we were born out of wedlock in many cases, that we should want to change that kind of matter? Let that love flow. Don't let the miserable people, brothers and sisters. I read from the King James Version. I just read from the King James Version. That's what I read from. All right? So I just want to point that out. Thank you for the question, my brother. Let that love shine. Love of yourself for growth. Love of self for wanting better for others. Not hating on the sideline. What does the Torah state? You shall not hate thy brother in your heart. The sidebar hitting. Mean mugging, even while, all the while trying to take my place. Backstabbers. That song is older than me, and I'm 43 years old. You mean before I was born, and I'm 7 years from 50, that people were talking about it? Yeah, because Solomon talked about it, and he was in the 11th century BCE. You want to talk about olden days. And I'm certain somebody said it before Solomon. Because now we talked about those who love and so forth. Let that love shine. When people say show it, let it show. We read the book of Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy means repetition. So it's repeat. It's repeat, brothers and sisters. If a brother or sister offended you, let it go. I knew an Israelite brother who passed away before 45. Phife Dawg, the rapper, passed away at 45. Craig Mack at the age of 46. Not saying we should forgive each other because we may go, but you don't want to go hating your brother in your heart. And you don't want nobody to go while you hate them, like Deuteronomy say in time past, because you're a suspect. Did you know that? Do you know when Deuteronomy chapter 18 to chapter 20 in that area? When somebody dies, you know Torah tells you to look for all the people who he had a problem with? Because you now a suspect. Did you know that in the laws of the Most High? You a suspect if you got beef with somebody and they die. Where were you at? The Levites are calling you in. Where you at such and such time? You know y'all had a problem. That's in the laws of Yah. So if you don't have love for one another, and then shout out to the brother, Zebulun ben Levi Hadakya pointed something out to me years ago. The first temple era, before Babylon burnt it, right? One of the biggest problems they had was idolatry, worshiping idols, which is obviously a lack of love of the Most High. Shalom, Thomas Miller. How you doing, Elder? Right? He pointed out, the brother Zebulun Hadakya ben Lewi pointed out to me that the second temple era, you know what caused it to fall wasn't idolatry. They wasn't worshiping idols in the time of Ezra and Nehemiah like that. That wasn't one of the complaints that Nehemiah had. The complaint that he had, the complaint Ezra had, second temple era, the complaint that Esther talks about, the complaint Malachi, the prophet, talks about, is not loving each other. Quick to get rid of your lady. Quick to just throw in the towel. Not loving the wife of your youth. That was Israel's problem in the second temple. You know what caused from after the Medes and the Persians came over? This is not a history lesson. This is a moral lesson, this presentation. But just historically, real quick, right? You know what made that Israelite empire, if you want to call it such an Israelite time form? Yes. The thing that made it cause to fall was the lack of love. Zechariah starts while during the Second Temple era. Zechariah chapter 7. We're going to read it. Chapter 7, verse 8. And let the book speak in this case, all right? Now remember, this is the Second Temple era. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's nothing in Zechariah about them worshiping idols. And I'm not saying you should worship idols. Nothing in Malachi about them worshiping idols. Nothing in Ezra, Nehemiah, or Esther, or Second Temple era when Persia was ruling about them worshiping idols. But let's see what the complaint was in Zechariah chapter 7, verse 8. And I stand to be corrected. I'm open to constructive criticism. And the word of Yah came unto Zechariah, saying, thus speaketh Yah Zebaoth, saying, execute to judgment, and sow mercy and compassion, every man to his brother. Be compassionate, brothers and sisters. Love mercy. Let's go on. What does it say in Zechariah? And oppress not the widow, nor the fatherless, the stranger, nor the poor. And let none of you imagine evil against his brother in your heart. That was the complaint from the prophet by the mouth of Yah. He sees your heart if it's real or phony. People could begin to see. You can fool people sometime. For instance, let me just give an example, which is kind of out there. I hate you, but you always make sure that person is taken care of. Your actions and words ain't matching in that case. You don't do that for what you hate. I love you, but you make sure you go out of your way to not help your brother or sister. See? Your actions and your words are not matching. So what did we just read in Zechariah? And imagine not evil in your heart. That's what we want to point out. So brothers and sisters, giving honor and praise unto the Most High, the Creator, the Maker of heaven and earth. We want to get into this and close out real quick. The Shabbat over here is ending and don't want to take up moderators or anybody else's time, knowing that people are extending their own time in this particular case. But I just want to show one of the several PowerPoints. Or maybe two, sorry. About love in the Old Testament. All right, family, let's do this for that. In this game. We see here, I love. Right? In this particular case. On the left side, I'll read it, the Hebrew. Ani Oheb. Sound like a haba, right? Well, one is the noun and so forth. On the right side, Ani Ohebet. That's the way a female would say, I love. The male would say it on the left side, Ani Oheb, and the female would say it on the right side. Let's go on. 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 2 Samuel 1:26. I am distressed for thee, my brother Jonathan. Very pleasant hast thou been unto me. Wonderful was thy love to me, passing the love of women. Now, if you're dealing in the term that my lady Sarai has been talking about, your low frequency, you're thinking this is homosexuality. passing the love of woman. But brothers and sisters, the love of woman is not sex, because you can have sex and no love, and you can have love and no sex. So since we know that the love of woman is not sex, we cannot think after reading this that David and Jonathan were homosexuals, which they were not. And it came to pass, when he had made an end of speaking unto Saul, that the soul of Jonathan was knit with the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul. Jonathan loved David as his own soul. But if you deal in lower frequency, as the saying goes, you're thinking his soul is knit. Your mind is in the gutter. You don't know what ahaba and met or true love is. Because you got couples looking in family court like, how did y'all ever get the time to even make the baby? I hate you. I know of people who have children, and you wouldn't know that they have children together because of the way they sitting. Daughter gets up, daddy. Son gets up, mommy. And it was like, oh, y'all got that child. And they're just sitting there like, because they don't get along. We want to break that generational curse, family. All right? Judah have dealt treacherously, and an abomination is committed in Israel and in Jerusalem. For Judah have profaned the holiness of Yah, which he loveth, and have married the daughter of a strange god. That's what? You forsook the daughters of your own people and married the daughters of other nations. That's not love. That's bad. Ain't that one of the complaints sisters been having? Brothers don't even pay us no attention no more. I got 3 sisters. Don't sit there and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. I remember listening as a child in the 1980s when people would complain about their relationships to my Ima. And I'm just absorbing all that energy in. I'm 7, 8 years old. You mean the same complaints I heard in 1988 is the same complaints that we as the people got in 2023? We got to stop that, family. Let's break that. I didn't skip this part here in Samuel. I wanted to read Malachi first for a reason. And he stripped also of his clothes. And he also prophesied before Samuel. This is Saul, that is. And laid down naked all that day and all that night. Wherefore, they say, is Saul also among the prophets? Now, brothers and sisters, we want to point this out. Highlighter, Hebrew. Aron. When it says he laid down that night naked, that's mistranslated. What it says in the Hebrew, and we want to show with the laser pointer, and thank you all for even staying with me at this time, knowing that Shabbat's over in many places and so forth. All right? Wayip shat gamhu bagadayo. Wayit nabe gamhu lifnei shemuel. Wayifol arom kol hayom hahu wakal halayla. Al ken yomru hagam sha'u ban bi'im. Now, the point we want to point out is this. That word arom that we see there, which in the highlighter form, all right, they're going to say means naked. But let's get into Hebrew and break this down to show that it's not. Let's look at this word here that you see being in the green. Maybe because I like it because my mommy liked it. Bigadile. They say that means clothes. But does it only mean clothes? Study to show yourself approved. And this is not to sound arrogant in saying that. Now, why did I read this part first? Because that word by God, we see right here. And it means what? Dealing treacherously. So those following along in the Hebrew, that bet, that Gamel, and that Dalet by God, Judah have dealt treacherously. So now when we go back here for Samuel, it doesn't mean his clothes. Begadiah means his treacherous ways. So it should read carefully as he also stripped off his treacherous ways, and he also prophesied before Samuel, and laid down, cleansed, laid down bare, meaning bare of his Begadiah, his treacherous ways, all that day and all that night. That's why they asked, was Solomon the prophets? Because Samuel's not going to entertain wickedness and energy like that. That's why when Saul said later, come with me, and Samuel said, no, I'm not, just for the eyes of the people. So we just want to carefully point that out, that in Hebrew, I didn't want to look like I was skipping 1 Samuel 19:24. But that word by God, that bet, that gamel, that dalet, is the verb meaning to deal treacherously. So the green that we see here highlighted in 1 Samuel 19:24 means his treacherous ways. Not he took off his clothes physically and was naked and rolling with the prophets. No. Your treacherous ways became, as the yellow says there, aron. It became naked. It became bare. It was taken away from you. And that's why they thought he was among the prophets. His spirit changed when he was in the presence of Shemuel. So, brothers and sisters, and Saul was loved by Samuel. So let us not, as men and women, throw in the towel too quickly. Saul didn't want to throw in the towel too quickly. David didn't want to throw in the towel too quickly. As women and men, don't throw in the towel too quickly. If you say that person is sent by the Most High, respect it as such. Any questions concerning what we went over? Feel free to type it in the chat. I just want to point that out, that when we see here in Malachi, Judah have dealt treacherously, Bagda Yahuda. That bet, that gamel, that dalet is the verb meaning that. So Begadiah, that you see there in the green, want to point that out, means his treacherous ways. All right? Just want to point that out linguistically. All right? Let's go on. Let's go on, because we already went over that particular case. Let's go on and close out here with the time allotted. Thank you, family. Doth not wisdom call and understanding put forth a voice. And the top of high places, by the way, where the paths meet, she stands. That I may cause them that love me to inherit substance, and that I might fill their treasuries. Love. Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 3. Where everlasting love have I drawn thee. And in love, it says that I might fill their treasuries. When you love someone, it's going to make you want to do things for him or her. When you love someone, it's going to make you want to do things for him or her. My lady is speaking and speaking upon the matter, saying that this reminds her what we went over with Malachi and other portions, where it says, rend your heart and not your garments. Your heart is where you love from. Your mind. That I may cause them that love me wisdom to inherit substance, and that I might fill their treasuries. Love is going to make you want to do something for people. It's going to have you want to be a help to him or her or them. This is not to sound arrogant. I love going over these lessons. Sometimes in the description, I ask for a cash app, but not really hard body on Shabbat. Certainly not. But whether the ching-ching is there, whether the book sell or not, as long as it's internet and the brother got spirit and health, praise the Most High, these lessons will be going out. And I'm asking others to join in this particular case. It is now 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't want to take up any more of your time. is going to wind up becoming redundant. We already get the point of the lesson in this particular case. Giving honor and praise to Yah, the creator, the maker of heaven and earth. Hoping you all are well and will be well. Getting a little personal to the people who thought me and my lady wouldn't make it. We're making it. To the people who hoped a man or woman wouldn't make it, we're making it. Learning, growing, feeding, eating, nurturing, spiritually, emotionally, being one's ears. Be there for each other, brothers and sisters. The Most High gave us us. Don't have the hardened heart and that Willie Lynch mentality. I can make it alone. No, because you didn't come in this earth through being alone. And two people came together in order for you to be here. You may have came out the womb alone, but the Most High through Jeremiah says when he knitted you in your mother's womb. So there is a creator that caused it to be. Your height, your complexion, your eye color, your taste buds, who you will look more like, if anyone at all, was already determined. And we were given laws, whether you call it Bible, basic instruction before leaving earth, not trying to be funny and saying that, which we understand that Torah is the law or the teaching, because the word Torah literally means teaching. So we are always students. So don't mind being repetitive. Don't mind learning, because if you acknowledge Torah, which means teaching, that means by default, you acknowledge you a student. Shalom, Most High bless. To all the people who participated, Sarah Michaela, my lady, thank you. Yirmiyahu Yisrael, my brother, thank you. Thomas Miller, elder, thank you. Mora Batsheba, thank you. Elizabeth, Victoria, thank you. Sar Yehu Ben Levi, Shalom Aki, and Toda for being part of the matter in this particular case. All right? Shalom.